We continue now at the top of Daf Yud Ches Amud Aleph in Meseches Moed Kattan. This is Moed Kattan Daf 18a. The Gemara here continues with Shmuel's statement that halacha ke Rabbi Yossi b'moed uva avel. The halacha is like Rabbi Yossi both on Chol Moed and also by an avel, by a mourner. The halacha is that we are mekel and we say they're allowed to cut their fingernails, as Rashi over here says. Halacha ke Rabbi Yossi b'moed dematir. Again, the halacha is like Rabbi Yossi, who is lenient in this regard. The Amar Shmuel, because Shmuel says halacha kedivrei hamekel ba'avel. Shmuel says that the halacha in general is like the person who is more lenient when it comes to avelus, and so therefore again a person who is an avel is allowed to cut their fingernails. And the Gemara continues, Pinchas avua de Mar Shmuel. Pinchas was the brother of Mar Shmuel. Isra bei milsa. Something happened. That what it means to say is he became an avel. He was in mourning. So al Shmuel lemishal taima. So Shmuel came to visit him, to console him. Lemishal taima mine literally means again to ask a reason from him, to speak to his heart. Rashi says, Chazinu letufrei dahav nefishin. And Shmuel saw that Pinchas's fingernails were long. So Amar le, so he said to him, Amai lo shakatlu, why don't you cut your fingernails? Amar le, so then he said back to him, Pinchas said to Shmuel, I b'didei have, if this would have happened to him, meaning to you Shmuel, if you would be in mourning, mi mezalzel bei kuli hai, would you be so mezalzel in the morning? Would you be willing, in other words, while you're in mourning, while you're in avelus, to cut your fingernails? Havoi keshkaga sheyotzim milifnei hashalit. So the Gemara says it's like an error that goes from the mouth of a ruler, meaning that when a ruler utters something, even if it's a mistake, it comes true. So to over here, Pinchas said, if you were to be an avel to Shmuel, and so that's exactly what happened. Ve'isr bei milsa b'Shmuel. Shmuel himself became an avel. So all Pinchas achus, and now Pinchas, his brother, came lemishal taima minei, again to go visit him, to console him. Shakalinu letufrei, he took his fingernails. Shmuel took his fingernails. Chavetinu liapin, he threw it in his face. And Amar le said to him, Les loch bris krusa l'sfasayim, don't you hold that there's a covenant that is made for the lips, meaning when you say something, what you say can come true, and that's why right now I'm in avelus. That's what Shmuel told Pinchas. The Amar Rabbi Yochanan, the Gemara says, because Rabbi Yochanan says, Minayin shebris krusa l'sfasayim. How do we know that there's a covenant that is cut with the lips? Shenemar, like the pasuk says, Vayomer Avraham el ne'arav shvu lachem po im hachamor. So Avram says to his attendants, stay here with the donkey. And myself and the lad, we're going to go together. And then we're going to return to you. And then it happened exactly what he said. They actually both returned. In other words, the intention over here was that he was going to go with Yitzchak and it was going to be Akedas Yitzchak. But yet he said, we're going to return to you. And that's exactly what happened. You see this idea that bris krusa l'sfasayim. Rashi over here says, bris krusa l'sfasayim d'chsiv v'nishtachavev v'nashuva aleichem. It says we're going to bow and then we'll return to you. V'chein havet d'chazru tarvayu. That's exactly what happened, that they both returned. And the Gemara continues, Savar minei d'yadin d'regelo. They thought that this halacha, that you're allowed to cut the nails, it's only going on the nails of the hand and not on the nails of the foot. The toenails, it would not be allowed. So the Gemara says, Amar Rav Anan bar Tachlifa. Rav Anan bar Tachlifa says, Ledidi mefarshali minei de Shmuel. To me, it was explained in the name of Shmuel. Loshna de yad veloshna de regel. Doesn't matter if it's the hand, doesn't matter if it's the fingernails, doesn't matter if it's the feet, meaning the toenails. In all cases, it's going to be mutter. Rashi over here explains, Savra minei de yad mutter b'meyavelo mishum demois de regelo. Because by the hands, that's already more disgusting to let them grow out. So that's going to be mutter during the times of Avelos. But they thought that when it comes to the toenails, it's going to be a problem. And again, the Gemara says it was explained in the name of Shmuel. Doesn't matter, fingernails, toenails, it's always going to be permitted. Amar Rav Chia bar Ashi, Amar Rav. Rav Chia bar Ashi says in the name of Rav, uvignustera aser, to do it with the scissors, that's going to be forbidden. Amar Rav Shimon bar Abba. Rav Shimon bar Abba says, Hava ka'imna kami de Rabbi Yochanan be midrasha. I was standing in front of Rabbi Yochanan the Beis Medrash, becholo shal moed achol moed v'shaklinu letufrei b'shinei, and he took his fingernails with his teeth, v'zarkinu, and he threw them onto the ground. The Gemara says, Shmamina tzalos shmamina. You see from this, there are three things that we can learn from what Rabbi Yochanan did. Number one, mutter litol tzipornayim b'cholo shel moed. Number one, it's mutter to cut the fingernails on chol moed. This took place on chol moed. Ushmamina, we also see from this, ein bohen mishum mius. It's not considered disgusting to take the fingernails in this way, using one's teeth. Ushmamina mutter lezark, and we also see that it's mutter to take the fingernails and just throw them onto the ground, because again, that's what Rabbi Yochanan did. So Gemara says, Ini, is this really true? Vatanya, but we learned in a brisa. Shlosha devarim nemru b'tzipornaim. There are three things that are said by the fingernails. Hakover and tzaddik, somebody who buries them is considered a tzaddik. Sarfan, if he burns them, chassid, he's considered a chassid, a pious individual. And zork on rush, if the person person throws them onto the ground, he's considered wicked. So the Gemara says, Time am I, what's the reason why it's considered wicked to throw the nails onto the ground? Shema tavor alein isha uber, because maybe a woman who's pregnant is going to pass over the fingernails, betapil, and then she'll have a miscarriage. But isha be midrash lo shchicha, but this story with Rabbi Yochanan, it took place in the Beis Medrash, and a woman is not frequent in the Beis Medrash anyway, so it wasn't a problem in that situation. And maybe you'll say it's still a problem, because maybe at some point they're going to gather them all together, and they'll throw them outside the Beis Medrash, so they're going to pose a danger to anyone walking outside the Beis Medrash. So the Gemara says, no, Kaven ishtani. Once they change place, it's considered that they're totally changed, and they no longer pose a danger. The Gemara continues, Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav. Rav Yehuda says in the name of Rav, Zugba me Chamson lifnei Rebbe. There was a pair of Torah scholars who came from Chamson in front of Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi. Umar Zutra Masni, Mar Zutra taught the story as follows, Zugba me Chamson lifnei Rebbe. There was a pair of Torah scholars who came from Chamson in front of Rebbe. In Mar Zutra's version, it's not in the name of Rav Yehuda, in the name of Rav. It's just taught independently. They came in front of Rebbe. In any case, Uvikshu mimenu tzipornayim. They asked him about cutting the fingernails as an avil. V'hiter lehem, and he allowed it for them. V'imbikshu mimenu safa hiter lehem, and had they asked him about trimming the mustache, he would have allowed that as well. This entire discussion that's coming up about trimming the mustache, Rashi will explain in a moment. Ushmuel amar af bikshu mimenu safa. Shmuel says they did ask him about trimming the mustache, v'hiter lehem, and he allowed it for them. Amar Avital Safra mishmei de Rav. Avital, the scribe, said the name of Rav, safa mizavis lezavis. When it comes to trimming a mustache, you can trim it from one corner of the mouth to the other corner of the mouth. Amar Rabbi Ami, and Rabbi Ami says, uvesafa hamakeves. We're talking about the areas of the mustache which get in the way of somebody eating. Amar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, and Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak says, L'didi kesafa hamakeves damili. For me, the entire mustache is considered the mustache that gets in the way of eating, meaning for him, he was a particularly picky individual, and so therefore all parts of his mustache got in the way of his eating. And we'll take a look at Rashi over here. Mar Zutra masni bebraisa debikshu mimenu tzipornayim b'mei evlo v'lav mishmei de Rav Yehuda. Mar Zutra's version in the brisa was that they asked him the question. It was not in the name of Rav Yehuda Amarav. It was just a brisa that says that these two Torah scholars asked whether you could trim or cut your fingernails rather during the time of Avelos. Then it said that if they would have asked him about trimming the mustache, he would have said mutter. Meaning I saw in his mind, I understood that he would have said, if they would have asked him, can a person shave the mustache, he would have allowed it for them. The way Rashi understands this Gemara, it's not talking about trimming the mustache as an avil, it's talking about in general, a question of whether it's a problem of destroying one's beard, is a problem about tashchis, and he would have answered it's not a problem. Rashi continues, mizavis lezavis, meant from again one corner of the mouth to the other, misofa pe lesofa acher, from one end of the mouth to the other, mutter legalech. That's the area where you can shave the mustache. Arimakeves achila ushasi umois. That's the part where it gets in the way of the eating and drinking, and it's disgusting. In other words, mizavis lezavis meant to say that was a limitation. You can't do the entire mustache. You can only do the areas of the mustache that are ma'akev in terms of eating. Ulididi, and then the Gemara said, but I say, this was talking about Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, Da'anina daiti, I'm particularly picky, kol safa, the entire mustache, kesafa hamakeves dami, it's like a part of the mustache that holds you back from eating properly. Da'anina li daiti, again, because I'm picky in this regard. And the Gemara continues, V'yamar Avital Safra mishmei de Rav, and Avital the scribe says in the name of Rav, Paro shahoya b'mei Moshe, the Paro who lived in the times of Moshe, hu amma, he was an amma tall, he was a kano amma, his beard was an amma, ufarmashtako amma vazeres, and his private part was an amma and a little bit more. Zeres is a span. Lakayim mashanamar, to fulfill that which it says in the pasuk, ushval anoshim yokim olah, the lowest of individuals, he was a lowly person, and he was placed as the leader. V'yamar Avital Safra mishmei de Rav, and Avital Safra said in the name of Rav, Paro shahaya b'mei Moshe, this Paro who lived in the times of Moshe, Amgushi haya, Rashi will discuss what Amgushi is. Shenemar, like the pasuk says, Hine yotze hamayim v'gomer. We'll take a look at Rashi over here. Parmashtako, again, Amasa, that refers to the private parts. Amgushi hava dechsiv hine yotze hamayim machlokas b'Meseches Shabbos chadam or charashi. One says that what a Amgushi is a charashi. It means to say it's like witchcraft. Lahachi yotze layeor b'shvil machshofes. He was going out to the river because of kishuf. He was doing witchcraft, so that's what it means. V'idach, the other opinion of Meseches Shabbos is gidufe. It means he was a heretic. Lahachi yotze, he was going out to the river. She'omer li yaori v'ani asisani. He would say the river belongs to me, I made it, he denied God. So those are the two explanations of Amgushi. Either he was a sorcerer, or it means to say that he was a heretic. And the Gemara continues with the two dots, quoting the mission of Yela Mechabsin b'Moed Haba Medinas Hayam. It said the following people can do laundry in Chol HaMoed. Let's say they come from far away. It was all basically cases where they couldn't do their laundry before the holiday. So the Gemara says, Amar Ravasi, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Ravasi says in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, Misha ein lo el cholak echad mutar lechavsu b'chol shel moed. If somebody only has one garment, they can do the laundry of it, they can wash it on Chol HaMoed. Meser Rav Yirmiyah asks, Eilam mechavsin b'moed haba mimidinas hayam v'chulu. What are you talking about? It says in the Mishnah, the following people can do the laundry, they can do the wash on Chol HaMoed. It lists a bunch of cases, and it doesn't list this case of a person who has one garment. So hani in Misha ein lo el cholak echad lo. Only these cases are allowed to. Somebody who has only one garment is apparently, according to the Mishnah, is not allowed to. So Amar le Rabbi Yaakov le Rabbi Yirmiyah. So Rabbi Yaakov says to Rabbi Yirmiyah, Asabr loch mas nisan. I'll explain to you the Mishnah, Afagav de islay treu metanfi. What our Mishnah means, even somebody who has two garments and they get dirty, if they're in the following situations, they're allowed to do the laundry. Meaning our Mishnah is talking specifically about individuals who have more than one garment. Our Mishnah is not addressing somebody who only has one garment. Somebody who has only one garment would certainly be allowed to wash it on Chol HaMoed. And the Gemara continues, Sholach Rav Yitzchak bar Yaakov bar Giyurei mishmei Rav Yochanan. Rav Yitzchak bar Yaakov bar Giyurei sent in the name of Rav Yochanan the following halacha: Klei pishton mutar lechavsan b'chol HaMoed. Linen garments, you're allowed to launder, you're allowed to wash them in Chol HaMoed. Meisiv Rava asked, mitpachos hayadayim mitpachos. It talked about the towels that you use to dry the hands and the towels of the barbers, and we'll continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Yud Ches Amud Beis.